Hi, I'm Tom Quaadman with the U.S. Chamber, and I am honored to be here with Adena Friedman, the Chair and CEO of Nasdaq. Adena, welcome. Happy to have you with us today.
It's great to be here, Tom. Thank you so much.
So, Adena, picking up on Suzanne's remarks, and from your seat as a leader who engages with CEOs and companies across industries and across our economy, how do you view the strength of the American economy and the business landscape?
Well, I think that we should be very proud of the strength of the U.S. economy. We've been able to withstand some very disruptive events over the last 3 years, and we continue to demonstrate a lot of resilience in our economy. I think that we have to be very careful to protect that resilience going forward. And as we think about making sure that we maintain our competitiveness, I think a lot about what is the foundation of our economy, what makes us special. And I get that question a lot, actually, when I go around the world and talk to other governments. And we start by talking about the foundation of our democracy, the ability to have freedom of thought, freedom of speech, creativity and innovation really stems from that. Then we also think about our educational system and what we do to make sure we foster that innovation, that creativity. We make sure that our educational system continues to lean forward and drive us to the future, as opposed to keeping us where we are. And then, of course, we have the laws and the regulations that really need to be balanced to allow people to try, fail, and try again, but that also balance regulation with innovation, so allowing for innovation to flow through the economy and continue to be a critical part of what makes us special, but also putting some guardrails to make sure that that innovation is being used for societal benefit. I think those are the things that we really focus on in maintaining the competitive spirit of the United States on the strength of its position right now.
So, Adena, 50 years ago, Nasdaq was founded as America's electronic stock exchange. Today, Nasdaq has a global presence. Tell us a little bit about Nasdaq as a business and the daily challenges that you face.
Sure. Well, first of all, Nasdaq, we're very fortunate to have such an amazing foundation as the Nasdaq stock market here in the U.S. Over the last decades, however, we've really grown and expanded our business. And when we've really demonstrated that through leveraging our foundation. So when we think of an exchange, you think of liquidity, you think of transparency, and then you think of integrity. So as we've grown and expanded the business and really become a technology provider to the broader financial ecosystem, we've really focused on becoming the trusted fabric to the financial system around the world. And we start with liquidity. Are the technology that we use to underpin Nasdaq, the Nasdaq exchanges here and in Europe, we also now provide to 130 other exchanges around the world to help them grow and expand their economies. When it comes to transparency, we really are focused on bringing and being the bridge between corporates and investors to help them navigate the complexities of the capital markets today. And when we also think about integrity, we really focus on providing world-class anti-financial crime technology to about 2,500 banks and brokers around the world as they manage their financial transactions in their systems, and making sure that we have broader integrity of the financial system. So we are a much broader platform today, and the problems that we really are trying to solve are, frankly, the problems of our clients. Managing integrity in the system, keeping criminals out of the system, making sure we have hyper-resilient, extremely advanced markets to advance economies around the world, and helping corporates and investors come together, provide capital, get access to capital, but do it in a way where they feel that there's a balance between them, and that we're here as a bridge as opposed to a wall between them.
So, one of the secret sauces of the American economy is the ability of businesses to grow from small to large. And a very important part of that, obviously, is when businesses go public through the IPO market. Many people don't realize it, but when a business goes public, that's when you see the biggest jump in job creation, the biggest jump in revenue growth, You see the wealth creation that spreads out on Main Street with retail investors. And Nasdaq has traditionally been the place where the most innovative companies go to list. In light of the current environment, what do you expect as it relates to investments in technology and innovation?
Sure. Well, I think we're first of all, extremely proud to be the home to the amazing innovators of our day. And we really focus on being the exchange for the 21st century. We're really, really proud of that role. I think that when we think about innovation and maintaining that innovative ecosystem, it is critical that we have a balanced approach to capital formation in the country, and making sure that investors have access to growth companies, that we don't put so many onerous obligations on companies when they go public that they don't want to go public, and therefore investors don't get access to them. But at the same time, getting them ready to be successful public companies. Disclosure is the foundation of our economy. Helping them understand what disclosures are going to matter to investors and helping them navigate that world is really important. And at the same time, making sure from an innovation perspective that the economy stays robust and open and excited about innovation. Technology is an unstoppable force. And how we then therefore harness that technology to create and maintain the innovative spirit here is critical. I got the benefit of being at the Consumer Electronics Show last week, and it is amazing how technology is being used to solve, whether it's patient outcomes in healthcare or manufacturing challenges, whether it's in aviation and space travel, and of course also the financial system. So how do we leverage and harness AI and the cloud, as well as all of these amazing technologies to make sure we create a societal benefit, I think is something that we have to continue to focus on. And then access to capital and making sure investors get access to these great companies is what we're focused on here at Nasdaq.
So, Adena, in 2021, we had probably the most robust IPO market since the mid-1990s. And in 2022, we had one of the slower IPO markets probably since the Great Recession. What are your expectations for 2023, and what are some of the obstacles you think companies must overcome as they prepare to enter the public markets?
Well, I think that it really has been quite a roller coaster ride for investors and companies over the last couple of years. As we go into 2023, I always think about what is it going to make it so that an investor can have a conviction position, right? So what are the risks that investors need to be able to understand and navigate when they are making a decision to invest their money in a company? And the most important thing for investors to be able to do is to predict the future. And it's been extremely unpredictable. So as we go into 2023, you've got the unpredictability of where the interest rates are going to end up, and therefore where is inflation going to land? What is that going to mean for economic growth in the country? And those things are really keeping investors on the sidelines because those aren't knowable yet. I do expect, though, that probably by the spring, we're going to have a pretty good set of known variables where we're going to be able to manage our companies, manage the economy going forward. I think we should expect that money will no longer be free. So the decade of free money is likely to come to an end. I think we should expect that there will be inflationary trends that will persist but moderate pretty significantly from where they are today. But we'll have kind of maybe a 5% interest rate environment, 4% inflation environment, or a 4% interest rate environment, 3% inflationary environment. And we'll be able to navigate that now going forward. And what that means is for investors, they're probably not going to really talk about growth for growth's sake, make it so that companies can remain completely unprofitable for long periods of time. Instead, they're going to look for a balance of growth and profitability, which is likely a better balance, for the economy over the long run, more sustainable. But that'll factor into valuations. That will then factor into whether owners of private companies want to tap the public markets and how investors will value those companies when they come. I would say that we have 200 companies on file to go public this year. So we are hopeful that we'll start to see the IPO environment loosen up and become more robust as we work through the year.
So, Adena, 10 years ago, right, the Chamber and Nasdaq were very concerned about the low growth environment that our economy was in, that it was becoming more difficult because of a variety of different obstacles for businesses to grow from small to large. And we worked in partnership with many others, including bipartisan members of Congress, to enact the Jobs Act to deal with some of those regulatory obstacles. And I think we would both argue that some of those changes in the regulatory flexibility with the Jobs Act help reinvigorate the public capital markets. Yet here we are today, right, in 2023. We have economic uncertainty. We have a new Congress in place. And hopefully we can, again, engage in some of those bipartisan discussions to deal with some of those issues. Adena, what is your message to the new Congress, especially the committees focused on capital formation, as they look for ways to drive both innovation and growth?
And I think that's important. It is innovation and growth. So one of the things we really focus on is that balance of innovation and regulation, making sure that we recognize the fact that technology is coming. It is incredible what technology is out there. The power of the cloud and AI are going to transform industries. Regulators, however, they have to take very measured approaches to managing the environment around them, and they often are behind in terms of the technology races forward and the regulators are trying to catch up. And that ends up becoming a challenge and a balance in balancing, and also means that there tends to be a little more fear among regulators around technology. So what I would really like to see is regulators in the private sector working together to harness the power of these innovations, to find ways to make sure that we can capture that innovation successfully, and we can focus our companies on managing that innovation for societal good. And I'll give you an example. So I mentioned that we have our anti-financial crime business. And as we work with legislators and regulators, one of the concerns that they have is how that AI is going to be used in the banking industry. Well, when it comes to crime management, the power of data sharing across banks for crime management, the ability to harness that data through cloud infrastructure, and then to be able to find signals in that data. Criminals tend to leave little breadcrumbs across the financial system when they're using it to perpetrate their crimes. And so we want to be able to use really advanced algorithms and AI to be able to root out those criminals and make sure that they stay out of the system. But banks are actually quite hampered in their ability to use AI today because of regulation. And that means, though, that technology is openly available to the criminals, but not openly available to the banks and to technology providers like us to help protect the system. So as we work with legislators and regulators, we want to make sure that we really focus on that balance. Innovation and regulation they're not antithetical. They actually can work together to make sure that we harness that technology for the right purpose.
And Adena, just drilling down on that just a little bit, what do you see the role of Nasdaq being in fighting financial crime?
Well, we are a technology provider to the financial industry. We have a real vision to be the trusted fabric to the financial system around the world, and that really starts with securing transactions. That can be obviously cybersecurity, making sure our systems stay safe and openly accessible in the right way, but also in terms of rooting out criminals and making it so that the financial system is more trusted by consumers, trusted by companies, trusted by the government. And I think that our role as a technology provider today, we have 2,500 banks that leverage our technology to manage crime out of their financial systems. We also have technology that serves the capital markets in terms of rooting out market manipulation, insider trading, nefarious actors within the markets and within trading firms. So we play actually a very big role in helping to manage crime and frankly, root out criminals and get them out of the system today.
So Adena, last question. Suzanne had talked about an agenda for American strength. What are some of the long-term priorities Washington should be focused on to help position Nasdaq for success in the future? But also, if you can then take a look at it from a broader point of view in terms of also helping the economy as well as the country.
Yeah, I actually want to start there because I think it's so critical. Congress plays such a critical role in moving our economy forward. And if we can move our economy forward successfully, Nasdaq will benefit from that. So when we think about the democratic system, I think the most important thing that a message I would give to Congress is work together on a bipartisan basis to solve big problems. That is the huge, huge promise of the democratic system. And we have plenty of issues that we really want to try to solve. We also want to make sure we unlock the human potential here in the United States. I believe that a democratic system is the best system to unlock human potential. But as we think about how we make that a reality, I think it's really important that Congress come together to think about those bigger issues like immigration, providing us more frankly, resources within our country to enable our companies to grow, making it so that we also have as I mentioned, the right balance of innovation and regulation to make sure that we can kind of harness technologies for societal benefit. And then also making sure that we frankly just manage those tactical issues like the debt limit and just not letting that become a problem for the economy, which frankly then creates turmoil in the markets. I think if we can really show that we can operate really successfully in a bipartisan way, we can demonstrate to the world how critical a democracy is to success and economic success and societal success.
Well, Adena, thank you so much for joining us today, and we appreciate the partnership that we have with you and with Nasdaq in helping businesses across the country and in boosting the American economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, and we really appreciate the partnership as well. Thank you very much.